We have with us in the studio somebody who is well-versed, that knows much about sports, especially the other side of it when it comes to corruption and some other things. I have the pleasure to introduce to us in the studio, we have Mr. Eze Alloysius. He's the director, Playya Nigeria. You are welcome to Sahara TV studio.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
I will start with George Weah comment. It just really happened about 2 days ago, Monday precisely, when he came to pay our President Muhammadu Buhari, a courtesy visit in Abuja. It was a closed-door meeting, no doubt. But immediately after the meeting, State House correspondent cornered him, had to have, a kind of exclusive interview with him, and he said many things about Nigeria's preparation. He said that Nigeria should guide against corrupt practices if we need to go far at the World Cup. And he went further to say some things that Nigeria should ensure early preparation. He added that the situation where the players lost concentration because one minister took money away should not be allowed to happen. And even besides that, he said everything that players need must be put in place. How will you look at this comment that George Weah mentioned when it came to Nigeria?
For me, I think George Weah is a vast person when it comes to sports in Africa as a whole. Haven't been a one-time world footballer and haven't played in the highest league and haven't even tried to take his country, single-handedly to qualify for World Cup, the attempt he made in the past. So I think he knows what he's talking about when he made mention of corruption and success in sports generally. And it is not born out of the fact that he knew this from his own experiences, as a player, as a sport administrator, as a politician, what they usually do with money, And when you talk about corruption, Nigeria, would you say NFA or NFF, or let's say for the purpose of the discussion, NFF as it were, has never come with a clean sheet, in the past, especially when it comes to preparation to world events like the World Cup, the Nations Cup, the Olympic, and so on and so forth. We've had many ugly incidences in the past concerning this, We've had situations where money was missing, where money was meant to be carried by somebody, where money was kept in the lockers in the glass house, and it was later found to be missing, and so on and so forth. I think George Weah knows precisely what he's talking about.
Then he said, as a former coach, technical director, and former sponsor of the national team, he's talking about the Liberian national team, that because he had been able to see it all in every cadres of football administration, because we shouldn't shy away from the fact that he, in the history of football, is the only African that has been able to win the Ballon d'Or, World Footballer of the Year, and the same year he won everything. So he's talking about, he said, it is not only football. When Liberia goes to represent us at the Olympics, we only see the officials drilling with our flags. We don't see any athletes.
I think, the man must be speaking from the bottom of his heart, and I think he must have been speaking out of the passion that he wants to see an African team playing in the final stages of the World Cup. And I think he must have seen some prospect in Nigeria. Hence why he's given this sincere advice to our national team or the sports administrator, the ones handling the football and football issues in Nigeria. Because, what he's saying specifically it shouldn't be a breaking news to us, because we all have seen it, we've experienced it in recent times, where players were asked to go on camping and nothing is happening. The administrators were not there, the sports people, and a single player has been alleged to have been the one, you know, taking responsibility for the whole team, for his teammates, you know, paying the hotel bills, paying for the buses, and so on and so forth. And never did our FA come out one day to refute that allegation. You know, we've had a situation where we had to go to Brazil for a tournament for the Olympics, and then this less than 48 hours to our first match, the team were still in their camping ground somewhere, and then they didn't even know how to get down there. And only for the president to order a chartered flight, and for we to hear that, no, there is another chartered flight, or this one was bad, the flight ordered was bad, and then there is a reorder, and so on and so forth. And I think these things naturally kill the morale of players in camp whenever they are prepared to go for such events. When there is no proper plan, when people are not talking what they are supposed to be hearing, you know, at that crucial stage, even at now, what we all should be thinking about is how we are going to build a formidable team, have them assembled, give them the final training, prepare them psychologically, which is much more important, you know, in tournament like this, and then give them the right orientation. But now, probably, we are yet to see. Nobody is talking about the funding now. We didn't hear anything about it so far in the budget that has been presented. Probably maybe it is 2 or 3 months to the tournament. Then we will start hearing that, oh, there is
no, let me just come in here, because the NFF came out to tell us recently that the sponsors have taken care of all of that, okay, that even their bonuses for World Cup is going to be paid up front before they even play some of the matches.
Who are the sponsors? That is a very important question. Let us ask ourselves the simple truth. Because this is not a cult. This is the Football Federation of Nigeria. And Nigerians are supposed to be carried along from the least step to the highest on what they are doing. Gone are the days where people will come up and say, oh, don't worry, I am the multi-billionaire, I will sponsor this team, I will take you. No, even if you are sponsoring us, what are the terms and conditions? Nobody is talking about this. And our FA wants us to believe that everything is well. The only place we are going to hear that things are not well is by the time they come out, maybe at the first round. Then they will start telling us, oh, the sponsor didn't release the money on time. Oh, the money got there, but the transfer was hindered by whatever. No, give us the details. Let us come out. The people at the glass house should do more than what they are doing now. Let us know the sponsor. What are the terms and conditions for sponsoring the national team? What are the benefits for the national team? What are they, the sponsor, or this, even if it is a single person? What is he? What does he stand to benefit? So those are the things the FA should be coming out at this point to tell us, so that we are all carried along from the very first step to the last. This present government, the Buhari government, came into power on the mantra of transparency, anti-corruption, good governance, and so on and so forth. And that was encapsulated in the change mantra. And now, sport is not excluded from the larger society in which we find ourselves. And they should not just always be giving them that free hand to say, okay, if you talk, FIFA will ban you. If we talk, CAF will suspend you, and so on and so forth. There should be some limits. The country as a whole are passionate about this. And this is all about the time where we will see the Fulani and the farmers' crisis put into a pause as soon as the World Cup starts. Everybody will want to go somewhere to see. Even if this incident happens on a daily basis, there is every likelihood that during the World Cup, there will be a certain level of peace or tranquility in some of our troubled zones. And then if sport can go this far in our societal life. I don't think the government should just waive it and say, okay, and the sport administrators are the one handling it. Let us ask questions and let them come out openly to tell us what is at stake. We are saying, good, we have an oil company coming to sponsor, we are so grateful. But what are the terms and conditions in which they are sponsored? And this should be made emphatically in the discourse for the World Cup agenda, so that we won't come up tomorrow and say, oh no, we lost out at the World Cup because of these uncleared terms and conditions. Okay. Let us have them, and then it will be good for us.
Managing the funds has always been the problem with administrators. How do we take it away from administrators misappropriating funds that are meant to take care of athletes, players, ahead of major competition?
I wouldn't want to say we are cursed in this country, you know, with people at the helm of affairs handling our issues. Take, for instance, in other developed countries, as we talk now that the World Cup is taking place in Russia, there are a lot of things going on in schools for kids by the FA of different countries. There are a lot of programs going on for people, migrants from other countries. There are a lot of programs going on for people, disadvantaged people, you know, just because of the build-up to the World Cup.
Awareness.
And all these, yes, and all these are being organized by the FA of those countries. I mean, specifically, if you go to a country like Germany, you know, which I'm so conversant of, you find a lot of activities going on. Also in schools, in different places, in different strata. And these are part of the money gotten from sponsorship to the World Cup for their national team. These are part of the build-up of the money they have been preparing, the budget they have been preparing over the years, because they are conscious of the fact that they are just handling the space on behalf of the general populace. And they want to give back to the general populace. And you find that even in some neighborhood, they are building new stadium for people, for youth in that neighborhood. If you go to some places again, you'll find that they are putting up some structures, you know, that could help youth development, that could empower development of sports from the grassroots, just as a build-up to the World Cup. In our own case, we are only contented with one big man or one big company coming up with a sponsorship deal and telling us, oh, don't worry, just go and sleep. The Nigerian team will go there, will be at the World Cup. This is not the issue. This shouldn't just end here. You know, World Cup is not a one-off thing. If you go to South Africa today, presently, the World Cup that took place in 2010, you will still find the shadows somewhere around in South Africa. What is our own case? We have hosted Nations Cup, we have hosted Junior World Cup. What is our benefit? What can we say of them? Even as early as 2000, I think, was it Nigeria 99, we hosted. Afterwards, we have hosted the Nations Cup, I think in 2002 or thereabout with Ghana and so on and so forth.
2000.
In 2000. Now you ask yourself, what has become of this hosting? You know, because what people are interested in, what they tell us, and which is our psychic here, because there's so much bastardized our psychic that we think when they just threw a little bit on the floor for us, we should just grab it and thank them.
And money was sent to AFN by IAAF, and only for us to hear just a couple of days now that the money is missing. We are even hearing from different quarters now, different people, different strokes for different folks. People are giving us conflicting information now. No, it was paid during the time of the former board. This present board doesn't know about it. But now it is in the public folds now that IAAF, that is the body regulating world athletics, reportedly paid the amount. That is $150,000. It was supposed to be $15,000 as their annual grant, but they mistakenly, erroneously paid $150,000, and suddenly the money has gone missing. What is the problem?
Well, this should not surprise us now, because I think The only surprise in this case is that an animal is yet to be named as the perpetrator of the stolen form, because in Nigeria it is very obvious. Just some weeks back, we've had the case of snake, we have the monkey, we have, I don't know. So I think what the Nigerian Athletics Federation should tell us is to name the animal that is culpable in this case. Because it beats one's imagination, you know, that a transaction that was done via the banks, a legitimate transaction, you know, you cannot account for it. I mean, if I have erroneously paid money into a friend's account.
It happens.
Yeah.
Majorly.
Yeah.
You look at it.
Yeah, of course, it happens. It has happened to me.
It was an error.
You know.
You were supposed to pay somebody XY amount.
Exactly.
And you went ahead to pay beyond what you bargained to pay.
I mean, in this case, it's even more likely to happen because it's just a question of pressing the figures. I mean, the zero, maybe punching more zero than you should have punched. And then somebody is telling you, oh no, they don't know where the money is missing. And the only thing I can say is that the Nigeria Federation, Athletic Federation should tell us the animal that is in charge of this
that swallowed the money.
Or maybe cornered it. And then we can know what to say.
From the latest report we are hearing now that the sports minister precisely has set up a committee to look into this problem. Going forward now, what do you think we can do to checkmate some of these issues of money, handling money, money missing with administrators?
Honestly, I don't want to sound very judgmental against the person of Mr. Dalong, but I think he has really underperformed by my own little assessment, you know. Of course, maybe the man is a lawyer, he's been a local government chairman in somewhere in Plateau State. Maybe he's just into a very new terrain that he knows little or nothing about. But that is not the issue. The man came first and foremost with high hopes when he spoke, when I heard him speak.
But let me just come in here. Is Dalong the problem now?
Now, why I am coming to Dalong is because we heard he set up a committee. I mean, for crying out loud, it is simple. There is an accountant. There is a treasurer. There is a chairman. There is a secretary. There are people who handle the finances of the Nigeria Athletic Federation. All the minister ought to have just done is to forward their names to the EFCC or to the ICPC or to the police to go and explain themselves. Why waste our hard-earned money to set up another committee to investigate what? I don't know. You see, that is my own problem. That is my own cross of issue with Mr. Dalong. Because it is just very simple. When somebody has been alleged for causing the country, the nation, and your government is a government that came under the mantra of change, transparency, accountability, fight against corruption. And now you are embarrassing the government further by harboring these crooks, by setting up a committee where all kinds of lies will be told. And at the end of the day, what happens? The committee will go back. And our name would have been written in a black, or should I say red ink of the IAAF, that we couldn't even do a little transaction, you know, with them. So please, that is why I said this man should rethink and know how to handle this sports ministry and know that to a very large extent, he's dealing with people of questionable characters. Because I am sorry to say, no country or nowhere will you see such a little mistake happen and then it becomes an issue. Within a twinkle of an eye, they would have, in fact, immediately, if we are being sincere, immediately the people at the helm of affairs at the Nigeria Athletic Federation realized that a wrong money has been sent to them. They would have alerted their international body to say, look, oh, this is not what we are expecting, or are you giving us bonus? But they kept quiet. They stole the money, they shared it, only for the IAAF to discover. And even when they discovered, they asked them, please return this money. They refused to.
So that is to tell you you are not dealing with human beings. You are dealing with crooks. So, and it should be said, a spade should not be called an agricultural instrument. It should be called a spade. So if crooks are the helm of our athletic federation, let's call them crooks.
It's a pleasure having you, Mr. Eze Alloysius, in our studios and in the studio. Thank you for coming.